Islam, Islam, Islam. Paradigm Shifting the podcast is back. We've been gone for a little while, but we didn't go far. We came right back to master students, Maurice Pennington Bay, brother Shay Ray Ill, Islam, Moab. How you doing?
Man, Islam, all praise be to Allah, all is well. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and honors to you, brother Moorish Pennington Bay. It is great to see you. Life likes to deliver us some hurdles and some stumbling blocks that we, as the righteous, turn into stepping stones. So it is an honor and a pleasure to see you here this evening. So we're back like we forgot something.
Yeah. It's love. It's
I'm
love.
excited.
It's love. I'm drawing. You know, it's a pleasure to be back. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing like having these conversations where we discuss the possibilities of man and deal in the possibilities of man. You know, it's no greater feeling. You know, not for me. You know, loving the Prophet the way that we do, loving Allah the way that we do, and then loving our people the way that we do. So today's topic is unlocking the key to prophecy. You know, I always tell ones, man, if you know without a doubt or a contradiction that you fixing to get ready to get into a fight and your opponent ain't got nothing but the left jab, that's it. And all you gotta do is avoid that jab. There's no way that you should lose that fight. You know, and that's the power that prophecy gives us. Islam,
or you should at least be put in a better position. Some of us get to taking punches like Rocky. I never understood that. You know?
Hey, man.
So you know, but I mean, you know, speaking today, you know, specifically unlocking the key to prophecy, you know, just to kind of connect this topic with even what you just said here, you know, knowing what your opponent does and things of that nature, you know, it kind of gives you foresight of your own.
Right.
You know, it actually enables you with the spirit of prophecy. Like I already know when I step in this ring, he's gonna be looking to circle this ring in a way that puts me in front of that left hand. Okay, so me knowing that now, that's going to dictate some of my movements. It doesn't say that I won't meet up with that left, you know what I'm saying, suffer some you know, some blows. But the bottom line is when we go in with a knowledge of things, we don't go in blind, and it makes it so that we can, you know what I mean, move without, you know, falling into too many pitfalls. So, you know, I mean, in any case, speaking here today about unlocking the key to prophecy, you know, brother Pennington Bay, you and I, we spoke prior to going live here, and I was saying, you know, when you look at a topic like this, you know, I'm big on considering the nature of whatever's being said, and when I say that, I mean just the meanings, basically, fundamentally speaking, the meanings of each word. And so we're talking about unlocking the key. You know, a lot of people just think about getting a key to unlock something.
Right.
And in this, you know, and I'm gonna let you, you know, you got some, as the Spanish brother used to say, you got some explaining to do, because here it goes deeper than that. You know, we're talking about potentially what is necessary to unlock that which serves to unlock that which is in accord with the divine will of Allah. And so, you know, we've got to put forth a couple jewels. You know, there's going to be some. You know, like I said, I'm excited, and so I'm prepared. You know, I mean, there's going to be some people listening. I'm sure they're prepared to say, well, what is the key? If we got to unlock the key. You know, what is the key and what unlocks it, and exactly what is prophecy? You know,
Islam.
So Islam.
The Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America.
I'm gonna let you throw the.
Okay, so the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America, in chapter number 7. There's a question in there. You know, we talking about the friendship of Jesus and Lamas Brahms. So Lamas asks Jesus a question there. He says, "What is understanding?" Jesus says that understanding is the rock on which man builds himself. It is the gnosis of the ought and of the know, of falsehood and of truth. It is the knowledge of the Lord self, the senses of the power of man himself. So when it says that it is the gnosis of the ought and of the know, gnosis means intuitive spiritual understanding of things. Okay. So now we look at the word intuitive. Okay, so now that deals with our intuition. That deals with knowledge that we have never been taught. So this knowledge has a different source other than where our most common knowledge comes from, whereas you teach me something through your actions, words, or deeds. If I watch you and I see you do a thing, I can learn that way, or you can communicate it to me. Where we have another means of learning. Okay, we have a teacher, the master teacher, the master teacher, who is always with us, inside of us. What the Prophet Noble Ali say, he's in our heart, and he intuits information to us. So the key to unlocking prophecy is for us to actually pay attention to the still small voice, our intuition, and what it communicates to us about what might happen, or what possibilities exist as we move forward in time. Islam? Okay, so now Allah's special love thoughts, his prophets are those individuals who are truly adept, experts, okay, at unlocking prophecy, utilizing prophecies, and communicating it to the public. All right. So we have books full of prophecy. All of us, all nations of people do. You know, and I just want to get into maybe some of the warnings and the prophecies that the Prophet Noble Ali left us on the scene, because we should be able to use these things to avoid pitfalls as we move forward. You know,
that's right. Islam. And just to camelback on the idea. When I think of unlocking the key, when I think of unlocking something, unbinding something, I instantly I'm drawn to something that the prophet Jesus said. He said the source of all bondage is ignorance.
That's right.
And when we're talking about divine things such as prophecy, and we're talking about being bound, okay, so I think that one of the keys to unlocking, all right, is gaining information and understanding, all right, that which serves to kind of remove, the binding ties of ignorance, and in doing so, one of the greatest things that we could possibly know while here in this garb of flesh is who we truly are beyond this garb of flesh. We usually call it, a knowledge of self, due to the fact that man is the truth and the truth is ought. Well, if ought is everything, then it stands to reason that from a higher sense as well, man is the key. Man is the key. Now he is bound, because we have been placed in a context. A lot of people don't realize this, we're born ignorant. And when I say born, I mean coming into this physical phase, we're born ignorant. We set aside a divine inheritance. We set aside feeding directly from just all knowing. Okay. And we take part in this developmental process. And in doing so, we start off, ignorant. And as we develop our understandings and start to lay our foundation and then build our structure and things of that nature for the temple of perfected man, we start to unravel ourselves. And we learn that we are the key we are the key to prophecy. We are the cornerstone to prophecy. Why is this so? When I think, when I use a term like prophecy, I mean a declaration of divine will. Okay, and when I say a declaration is one of the best ways to say declaration is a let there be. It's actually the actions of will. It's the actions of the soul. And a declaration of divine will in the Moorish Temple of America will is also known as the force, and vice versa. right? And force. Okay, and when we're looking at this, and you brought up chapter 7, force. Let me put it this way: force is the will of Allah.
Right.
It is omnipotent, and power is that will in manifest, directed by the breath. Man being the breath, man being the truth. So what this tells me is that it's up to us to actually direct the forces of nature and things of that nature. It's up to us to direct these things for the sake of prophecy.
Yes,
So in doing so, we play a key position. We are as a line uniting divinity and matter.
that's right.
But it starts with us actually taking proper hold of the key, and we do so through a process that the Moors call study. For some, that's just a word, and it usually means just go read a book. To a Moor, that is the law. That is the law,
Islam.
and indeed, we're reading a book, but we call it the Book of Allah's Remembrance. We
Islam.
travel back through the ages and meet with the sages, and this knowledge, which transmutes, into an ability to be. This right here serves as a key to unlock some things that people would refer to as nothing but wild dreams.
Islam.
Islam.
I want to take a look at something that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, right? Listen to this. He said, I am going to repeat myself. That's what the Prophet said. He said, I am going to repeat myself. So we look at a little prophecy like that, and I say, well, what do you mean by he going to repeat himself? What is it that he's going to say again, or what is it that he's going to do again? All right. Now, one of the main topics of discussion that for me and other Moors who I deal with on a day-to-day basis, yourself being one, has been the illusion of disunity that exists, within the Asiatic nations of America. Now, when I first came home, and I went out and I started working with different nonprofit organizations, because I just wanted to say, just give myself to the people. How can I help? Start off with the with John's partnership. Went over to the Tri-County Urban League and did an event with them. Did a little bit, but what I'm seeing is I've seen so many different groups of Asiatics contributing to, serving our communities in every kind of way. I'm talking about people that just provide food to the hungry, provide job training to the people that need job training, provide employment opportunities to people who have job training but just can't find employment. Provide people with knowledge of self. One brother down here in Peoria, he got a program called War every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. Whoever wants to, it don't matter if they old, if they young, it don't matter. At 6 o'clock in the morning, he got a program where you could come out and he takes these people and he gives them physical training. He guides them through working out from wherever platform. It don't matter if you're 345 pounds and you want to lose weight, but you can't really move that well right now. He is a specialist at what he do, and he's serving the community, and he's not charging them a dime, and he's happy to do it. And there's many Asiatics, everywhere where there's a Moorish Science Temple of America, everyone is doing the Prophet's work. We might see Moors arguing with each other on social media, but when we are not on social media, we are doing the Prophet's work. Okay, so when the Prophet said, I am going to repeat myself, he repeats himself through us. Okay,
that's right.
His actions are perpetuated through the true and the living faithful members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And by us knowing this, it allows for us to see through the illusion. This is the benefit of knowing this one sentence, this one prophecy. I am going to repeat myself.
Islam.
So that's I just wanted to take a look at that, but I want to look at quite a few of these. As the more see, I got this from the old Sheikh Elihu Pleasant Bay years ago. He sent it to me as a gift. You know, thank you again, Moab. If you somewhere listening, if anybody can, you know, speak to that more, you let them know I still got it and I'm grateful for it and I'm still working it. Islam.
Islam. And just to add to that, you know, when we're talking about the prophet repeating himself, you know, when we're considering things like this, such as the words of a prophet, we have to look at things from a spiritual standpoint. We have to look at things. When I say spiritual, I just mean in reality. We have to look at things from the truth of it. The prophet Noble Drew Ali was not his body. The prophet Noble Drew Ali was not his soul. The prophet Noble Drew Ali was a manifest aspect of the great God Allah. And so when the prophet Noble Drew Ali spoke, he spoke and acted as an administrative, as the highest administrative agent in the land in these days and times.
That's right.
In these days and times. And so when he spoke, the nature of his words were to express the divine will of the great God, Allah, the Father of the universe, who sent him. So when he says, I will repeat myself, you know, this is but a declaration that squares with the fact that the thoughts of Allah change not.
That's right.
Okay, so when we're talking about repeating oneself, what we're talking about is, you know, these laws, these underlying principles and things of that nature that I, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, stand for, will ever be. Time never was when they were not. And so, you know, my decree will be from the everlasting of the past until the never-ending days to come. And when a prophet speaks to the people, he's not just speaking to them about things that they can sit idly by and wait on.
That's right.
His words are to be taken in as instruction, as orders almost on what needs to be done next. Okay, the prophecy, you know, these things are in our hand. While you was talking, I was just looking into something, and what I understand, Penitent Bay, at this time is a lot of time when people hear prophecy, they think that they're hearing something that says, sit there and wait for it. And then you have others that hear the term prophecy and they understand that, oh, okay, I'm getting directions on how I need to move in order to be in accord with something. You know what I'm saying? I have directions on how I need to move because it's speaking to me about prophecy, because there are things I need to do to bring certain things into fruition. Okay, right. and we understand this because, as you alluded to with your words, in chapter 25 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America, it states in instruction 5, so shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other.
That's right.
Okay, so the cares of the great God of the universe are continued or passed along from one living from one living being to the next. Okay, in our love to one another. So that means there's work to be done.
That's right.
We cannot be passive. A prophecy is a command to get to work.
That's right.
Because if I speak to a room full of builders and I say there'll be a house right there one day soon. Now, to the food, everybody just starts looking around like, man, I got to see what this thing gonna look like. But to those with ears to hear, what they really heard him say is, put a house there.
Put a house there.
I'm speaking to all of you, all of your builders. All of your abilities are gifts, and every gift breeds a debt of gratitude. So to show your gratitude, move in accord with the spirit of the words that you hear.
That's right.
Okay. So when the prophet says, I will repeat myself, and we understand that he would give up the finite form, this physical body, obviously the prophet's words and deeds and things of that nature, the underlying principles of love, true peace, freedom, and justice, etc., are repeated as the sun repeats shining on the earth, right? They're repeated through our actions. So based on your actions, master, student, brother Maurice, Penitent Bay, based on your actions, I hear the prophet repeat instruction. Based on my actions, be it the will of Allah, hopefully and prayerfully, they can still hear the prophet's voice and see, you know what I mean, some of his footprints reconstructed in the sand based off of, you know what I mean, other active Moors that are active, not passive. The prophet is repeating himself. Islam.
You know, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali made one prophecy that today, you know, it means a little more to me than it did when I first came into the temple and I read it for the first time. But the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said in chapter number 47 of our Holy Quran that this is the uniting of the Moorish Temple of America. And I was like, you know, when it dawned on me, because I didn't know that there was various temples of various grand bodies, various different leaderships. You know, all I knew was, you know, the Moorish Temple of America, you know, and you know the leaders that I had heard about, but I never met them, you know, but I had heard about them, and that's all I knew. But then once I became exposed to, you know what is the Moorish Temple of America and the various bodies, this particular prophecy, you know, started to weigh heavily on me. At first, I didn't even realize why does it keep on popping up in my mind. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, this is the uniting of the Moorish Temple of America. Why does this keep on showing up in my thoughts? You know, so then now I'm saying that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us when it's time to bring the Moorish Temple of America together. And what the Moorish Temple of America coming together, it does not mean that we will ever, or that we should ever, or that we need to all come up under one leadership ever again. I don't personally believe that that's necessary. Okay. But what we do need to do is to follow the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's instructions and make sure that whatever we do, wherever we are, in whatever grand body we with, that we are all working in conjunction with the grand major temple. Now, ones to say, well, who is the Grand Major Temple? Where's the Grand Major Temple? For one, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America says that they who thus are cleansed comprise the temple of purity. The major temple are the members. And what's good for the members, the glory of a king is the welfare of his people. So every leader needs to be thinking that their glory and that, you know, their honor is provided to them and it comes to them and doing a good job in a position for the people. All right. And we do that according to this. We can never be anything except for what our forefathers were. All right. And our forefathers were not something that was divided. Our forefathers, the most ancient ancestor of the Asiatic people, is God. Allah is the father of the universe. So we have to conduct ourselves as such while we are here. And this is what I get from the prophet's prophecy. So now I go about the business of not even acknowledging this so-called disunity. I don't give a freak where another member goes to his meeting. All I care is that he makes his meeting. That's what the law says. All Moorish Americans must promptly attend them. You must promptly attend a that means and that public means promptly. As long as you do that, as long as you are a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Temple of America, what did Jesus say to his disciples? Man, if they ain't against us, they with us. You understand me? Right. You know, so when we look at the prophets' prophecies, you know, we have to contextualize and we gotta actually put them where they go, fit them where they fit. And like you said, walk into them. Look at the prophet Jesus as an example. The prophet Jesus knew all of the prophecies concerning himself. Ain't that right?
Islam.
So he made sure that he walked into those prophecies. Why? You know, was he so conceited or arrogant that he just wanted to make sure that the people knew that he was the Messiah that all of the prophecies had prophesied would come? No. He knew that the people were waiting for him and he wanted them to know that he had arrived so that they could get in order and they could start doing their parts. Okay? Because it's work enough for all. And when the trumpet blows, everybody needs to know that they are getting up and working, that they are contributing to something worth contributing to. Otherwise, they'll be just like the Muslims in India, where they feel like their work is nothing but toil and they'll just be waiting to die rather than working because they know that it's supported by love and hope. You know? So these prophecies have a power, and those who know the prophecies and those who have taken that first step of belief, try them out. Okay. One of the prophecies that the Prophet Noble Ali said and speaks to where we are right now as a nation. He said that we will be taxed to death. The prophet said that we will be taxed to death. Okay. Mo, in Chicago, where I'm from, they got a sugar they got all type of taxes. The property taxes have increased almost 60% in the last 15 years. You know, when we look at the taxes, the people in government, the legislators in this country, every time they have a great idea, every time they come up with an idea, they want to raise the people's taxes to support their idea, because none of their ideas are producing finances to support themselves. Well, this should tell us something. It's time for us to start voting for some more ingenious people. Because if you got a great idea, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, what did he say? He said that a good leader is a good earner. So whenever you come with a great idea, you need to be providing, which I want to hear, you know, as Grand Sheik of a missionary post of a temple. This is what I need to know. When any member come with a great idea, I want to know, okay, now how is this idea financed? Completed. Because the Prophet Noble Ali said that we will be taxed to death, and I don't want to be a part of the taxing party. All right. I want to relieve the people of some of this stress from all of the taxes that we have to pay. Okay. So this is something else, you know, when we talk about the Prophet Noble Ali and his prophecies.
Islam, you know, ultimately more, and I think it's important to put, you know, this idea out there. Ultimately, the prophecy of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the nature of it can be found in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America. When you contemplate the implication and the relativity of the instructions that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought, it lets it be known that what's being prophesied is, you know, Allah dwelling in the temple of perfected man. And therefore, we are acting or being instructed on how to become master builders of that temple of perfected man within. And, you know, it's basically a revelation, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America. It's a revelation of what is to come and the work that needs to be done, so that you might be considered as functioning in accord with the will of Allah. Another thing that the prophecies do is they reveal the character. The prophecies reveal the character of your time. They reveal the character of your time, and this way you might recognize the pitfalls of your time. See, prophecies serve to correct, protect, and assist you in projecting the will of Allah. And so, for example, you know, we have one of the prophecies, and of course, we come out of what some might call, I'm coming out of what some might call the equivalent of hadiths. We have them as oral statements and things of that nature, but we can measure certain things, okay, from here. And one of the prophecies, in one prophecy, it says, each word that I speak is spirit, and you Moors had better heed. Each word that I speak is spirit, and you Moors had better heed. Islam, pardon the body. Indeed, the words that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought, he instructed us to toil in a way that would never be described as scanty, meaning how to dig deeper than the surface. A lot of times, as I was speaking today in our Sunday school meeting, a lot of times we have gotten caught up on the surface of things, like the surface of the word. For example, when you don't know the meanings, okay, or the true spirit of the word Negro or any of its derivatives, such as nigger, you find yourself actually staking a claim to it and then proclaiming that you are it proudly. So now, since we haven't dug deep down and realized that the term nigger was given to someone in place of their divine national descent name, since we didn't know that this term nigger was actually given officially in 1779, unofficially in 1774. All right, but since we don't know that these terms are given to those who have been stripped of everything that makes it so that they're recognizable as humans within the government in which they live and the nations of the earth, since we don't know that this term nigger and some of its derivatives, okay, are basically given to men, women, and our children that are actually known as property or chattel. Since we don't know any of these things because we're not digging deeper than the surface, now I'm a real nigger. Okay. Now I'm somebody's slave. I'm somebody's patsy, somebody's fool. Right. And I'm proud of it. Why? Because I haven't taken the time to wrap my mental hands around the true spirit of the word. All right. And I've learned everything by being told, since my idol tells me that it's cool to be a real nigga, well, that's good enough for me. To hell with the fact that the true spirit of this word, right? Because let me say it to you like this, Moorish Printed Bay. You can think that poison is something good for you all you want, but that doesn't negate the fact that what's about to happen to you once you consume it. That's right. Like so, when you're consuming these words, they have very real spirits attached to them. You can think that it's a term of endearment all you want. You can think that it's something of value and that you should be proud of it and that you should even fight, even kill, in order to make sure that everybody knows you're a real nigga. But make sure we understand this. It breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. And it shows that you are bowing to a false god that most of us call the lowest self. Period. Right. Whether you know it or not doesn't change the nature of it. Your knowledge changes. That's the equivalent of a custom, and carnal custom doesn't alter the nature of truth. And so when we're looking at something that says every word I speak is spirit and you Moors had better heed. In other words, give careful consideration to the fact that there's something deeper than these symbols that we call words. You have to actually meditate. You have to digest what this is, because if you wrap your hands around the wrong meaning, well, just as you will absorb the chemicals of what you wrap your bare hands around, so too will you absorb the nature of the meanings that you accept, or you will absorb the nature of ignorance should you choose not to even figure out what it is that you got hold of. Okay. And so this right here is an interesting prophecy to me when it says, my words have spirit. So in other words, we have to dig deeper into these things, because words are what has been used to ensnare us. As you can see, physically, we're running around without chains. Physically, we're running around without chains. The chains that we have in here are basically the meanings to the things that we have stored up now. So now no one has to chain you and make sure that you remain in a nigger state of mind. They gave you, they have prescribed for you the diameter and circumference of your thought processing. So now you chain yourself. Okay. And if you don't consider the spirit of the words that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali has brought you, or any prophet has brought you, for that matter, but specifically today, we deal with the Negro problem, the only way the Negro problem can be dealt with, and that is in the Moorish Science Temple of America. So if you're not going to consider these things and take that medicine, no wonder you stay sick. No wonder you stay sick. Islam?
Hey, Mo, you said a mouthful. The Prophet absolutely said that every word I speak is spirit, and you know what's better he. And I see it. We see it to this day. We see it. We benefit from it. We benefit from heeding the prophet. I remember a time in my life where I knew that I was going to jail. Like When I got out of jail, I knew I was going back. Like, I had a sensing inside of me that people who did what I did were not going to be allowed to stay in society. All right, we were not going to be allowed to roam free amongst the free people. I didn't know at the time. I didn't really understand that, you know, it was not man who had made this decision, but that it was God who had made this decision. Okay, so when the Prophet Noble Ali came into my life, I started to think, because he communicated to us that Allah is the father of the universe, and this means something to me, right? So I have children, and I had two small children. I have two adult children now, and two small grandchildren now. But at the time, I had two small children when I first came into the Moorish Science Temple of America. And I would think about, you know, how much I love my small children, and how much I wanted for my small children to just be kept to be kept safe, and to be secured, and to have the, you know, the best opportunities that life could give to them. And then I realized that the way I feel about my children is the way that God feels about his children. So I went to ask myself, well, if there was a predator, or if there was anybody in my community or my neighborhood, or anybody who could reach my children, who might be a threat to the safety and security of my children, what would I do to keep my children safe? Okay, I would do anything to remove that threat. Now it gets a little deeper. Well, what if the threat is your child too? So now it's like, well, wow, everybody in society are the children of the Most High God.
Islam.
Even with my criminal mind state and my criminal thinking and my behavior, antisocial disorders, was still a child of God. So rather than to smite me down, or to kill me, or to just rid the planet of me, God placed me away from the children that I threatened, but at the same time put me into a soil where I could be cultivated and where I could grow the right way. Okay, so here it is. This is love divine for real. Okay, and I'm like, well, wow. The prophet said, every word I speak is spirit, and you Moors better heed. So now I said, well, being the child of God, I have to adopt these same principles of action. Okay, the way we learned in the streets coming up was, if somebody hits you, you hit them back. If somebody insults you, you hit them. If somebody hits you, you shoot them. If somebody, you understand what I'm saying? It's always, I gotta do you worse than you did me. Well, the Prophet Noble Ali said, imitate I your prophet. We have nothing nowhere recorded where the Prophet Noble Ali was a violent individual. He wasn't violent with his thoughts, words, or his deeds at all. Okay, he did not respond to insults. He did not respond to threats. He did not respond to ignorance the way that we were taught to respond to it growing up in the street. Now, there's a challenge. Is it safe for me to not instantly, reach out to try to destroy what I consider a threat to my own physical form? We got to try this stuff. While we was there in them Dismal Crips, I started to try this stuff, Mo. I'll never forget. Right. Honest to Azim Hopkins Bey. Hopkins Bey came in and he demonstrated this. And he was talking about, how do we diffuse situations, the de-escalation. So he was like, if you got two individuals and they riled up and they ready to fight and they ready to do this thing to each other, you bring them into a room where there's nobody but you and them. And the first thing you do is you sit down. And you sitting down, it communicates the truth that I am not here as a harm or threat to you. Okay.
Right.
And what happens is the individuals start to de-escalate slowly. And eventually, somewhere in the beginning of the conversation, you could say to them, sit down. And then they would sit down. When men sit down, men ain't finna start punching each other. Okay. So now what I seen in him demonstrating this and being in the prison, I started to do it, but I had to test and try to see if it worked. And I'm telling you, it worked. It worked. So now we start to heed everything that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said because it works. Okay. And this is the case with all prophecies, with the intuition. You know, when you're prophesying yourself, because we all have the ability to see into the future to a degree. And a lot of times we see into the future and we see things and we have truths communicated to us about threats that are around corners, and still we go around corners.
That's right.
So when we start to listen to ourselves, when ourself and what is in ourself, our higher self, where Allah is there, when we start listening to the Allah in us, communicating to us, and it's small and still, and you got to be still. After a while, it seems like it's screaming.
That's right.
All right. Because you don't become accustomed to listening. All right. This is what the prophets, they have become accustomed to listen. Everybody, you know, most of the people listening, unless you knew and you don't know who Maurice Pennington Bay, one of the Moorish master students, Bay the Truth Forever. Get over there on YouTube. If you're on YouTube watching, do me a favor, hit the like button. You know what I mean? Subscribe, share. If you're on Facebook, hit the like button, hit the love button. You know what I mean? Follow me, follow my comrades. You know, we always here, you know, doing the best that we can to communicate the truth about these lessons that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave us. You know what I mean? In love and truth and peace and freedom and injustice. So make sure y'all do that. But if you have been, you know, following me and you on Bay the Truth Forever, you will see that one of the most successful videos on that platform is a video where I talk about Elijah. Okay, and that is a prophet of God, a very, very powerful prophet. You know, we can understand how powerful Elijah was in just knowing that, you know, John, who was purity made flesh, you know, the wise men, they said that he was Elijah come again. All right. So this tells us, you know, how powerful Elijah was, and also how powerful John was. Okay, but Elijah, who had been calling on God. I'm not going to tell the whole story right now. I did that already. Go over to Bay the Truth Forever and watch that video. But Elijah, who had been calling on God and having God answer every time he called, not understanding prophecy, got threatened by Jezebel. Jezebel told Elijah that she was going to change him by the morning time, and Elijah took off and went to running. Now, he didn't just take off and go running anywhere. He went running looking for God. Okay? Elijah was running looking for God, the same God who he had been calling on. And God had been answering. He went running looking for God. And finally, when he found God, y'all, and you go and you look in Kings and you read the story of Elijah. When Elijah found God, he found God within himself. It says right there in the Bible that while he was looking for God at the cave, watching the wind, the fire, and the thunder, and the lightning, and thinking that God was in those things, he heard God speak in a still small voice. Okay? And once he realized that God had been speaking to him and through him all the time, he, of all other prophets in the Bible, you know, the miracles that Jesus performed are famous. We all aware. We know about the miracles that Jesus performed. I tell y'all, go and check out what Elijah was doing. Allah told Elijah, when Elijah said that they had killed all of the prophets of God, Allah told him, then make some more prophets. What other prophets you know making prophets? When he told him that all the kings was corrupt, what he told him? Anoint some more kings. So we talking about a man who made prophets and a man who made kings. Okay, so I need y'all to go over there and check out that demonstration about Elijah, read about Elijah, understand prophecy, because Allah is always prophesying to you and through you. You just gotta listen, Mo. You gotta listen.
Islam. And you know, I want to make sure that you know, I stress this point, right? That you, and when I say you, I mean all of the viewers, all of the listeners, ourselves, things of that nature. You are ultimately the prophecy. You, your works, things of that nature are ultimately the prophecy. There's no getting in the way of that which is to unfold. You know, you can you basically roll with or get rolled over. It's up to you, but you are in a position to be an administrative agent of the will of the great God. Right. Here on the plane of things made manifest, as well as on the plane of soul. You are in a position to be Lord over these planes, not from a vanity standpoint, but from a functioning missionary, from a vicegerent standpoint. Mm-hmm. Islam. And so when we are going over things like keys to unlocking Islam, or when we're talking about unlocking the key to prophecy, what we're talking about here is giving careful enough consideration to that which would put you in a position that you might move the will of Allah forth in your life and in the lives of others. And this takes, we can't stress it enough, this takes a knowledge of self. This takes a consideration of self. Some people would say, well, look, I've heard about this plenty. Know thyself, knowledge of self is key. Mm-hmm. Things of that nature. But how? You know, the carnal mind, we need to know how things are. And we need to know from a carnal standpoint. And the best way, and I'm sure you've heard me say it numerous times, Brother Pennington Bay, the best way that I can express to you how a knowledge of self translates to fulfilling prophecies is this. What you consider, you can arrive at. We travel by thought. When you're considering certain things such as these instructions and things of that nature, some of these ideas that are being born as you listen to this podcast, when you give it careful consideration, all right, the nature of this is what seeps into the etheric bloodstream and gives birth to other ideas that are in the same nature. Once you start to follow these ideas, just as the brother Pennington Bay just put out there, you know, he followed an idea that felt harmonious to his soul. He believed, aka he thought perhaps this is so. And so he decided to direct his will according to what at one point he just thought maybe it's so. So I'll try this technique that I believe leads to de-escalation. That's right. And come to find out, it assisted him in de-escalating something. Okay. And so in doing so, in enacting your will based on the ideas that are born from your reflection and meditation on things, you start to see things become manifest, right? This helps to grow the power of faith. All right. And faith is now what man knows to be the truth. And so as we know, then we start to behave in another manner, so forth and so on. And as we start to move in accord with belief, faith, and start to bring certain things into fruition, we are contributing to prophecy. This is what we do. All right. We are. A lot of people don't know this, but you literally are the will of Allah in physical form. That's right. And prophecy is a declaration. It is the movement. It is the harmonious movement of the will of Allah. So if you are essentially the will of Allah, then your harmonious movement in accord with the divine principles of Allah, which come by way of obedience to the divine instructions delivered to you by the prophet of Allah, okay, then you are the prophecy. This isn't some psychobabble. This isn't superstition. This isn't. We're not talking about things that don't manifest here. Islam. Okay, we're not talking about these things. So, and one of the things I wanted to say, there was another prophecy All right, and it's a touchy subject, Mobile. I'm gonna go ahead and preface
Brush it
that
over.
now. Okay, now, touchy subject. I'm not scared, okay, but I want to be careful because as a Moorish American Muslim, we don't believe in speaking radical. And when I say radical, I mean in an undisciplined, unprincipled manner. So to fail to give care to your expressions just because you can express yourself and you think that, you know what I'm saying, this is my mouth and no. That's radical. Now, everything I say, everybody ain't gonna like it. However, you not liking something doesn't mean that I've been speaking radical. My job is to make sure that I activate my words in accord with discipline and my principles. Now, with that said, you know, there is a prophecy. It says that one day, women are going to be chasing men like a hound running a rabbit.
That's right.
One day, women are going to be chasing men like a hound running a rabbit. Yeah. Okay, let me make sure we understand something here. When I look at this, I don't see the negative as far as like women are going to lose their discretion and just be chasing men down wildly for some sort of undisciplined activity. All right, I'm looking at the nature. I'm looking at the nature of this comment. All right, to chase like a hound running a rabbit. Hounds running out the rabbits usually in their nature, and there's a hunger there. There's a lack of something there potentially.
That's right.
Or they're usually doing things to make their master happy. But we got to make this relative to him describing how the women would be chasing down men. Okay, and so with that said, for women to be chasing men, not boys. It didn't say they'll be chasing boys. It didn't say that they'll be chasing black dudes. It didn't say that they would be chasing white dudes. It didn't say that they'd be chasing, you know what I mean? It didn't say that they'd be chasing down real niggas. You know what I'm saying? Or Negroes, black color. No. It didn't say that they would do that. It said, it said women would be chasing down men. That's a specific characteristic. Mm-hmm. And what I'm seeing today take place, and this is where I said I wanted to be very careful, but I want to address it. What I'm seeing today, it shows how this prophecy, why this prophecy exists right now, why it's actually playing out. Women, and I'm using the term women, and I'm not using that term loosely.
That's right. That's right.
All right. A woman truly is, from a metaphysical standpoint, she's not just out here with a pair of track shoes, literally in the physical, and when they see what they think is a man, because you can't see a man with physical eyes. A man is recognized by something higher, but that's besides. I'm gonna keep it moving. Women are actually chasing, so to speak, men because there is a shortage.
That's definitely a shortage.
Because there's a shortage. You know what I mean? Some of those shortages are in the boyish mindset. And some of these shortages, and I want to address it, some of these shortages are even being created, okay, by some of the so-called men who believe that they are the women. Wow. Okay, because when I was in the Dismal Crypts, they were like, well, so many men are locked up, so that's the shortage. I said, no, not really. Per capita, there's more males outside of the prison gate probably than inside of the prison gate. It's like, well, you know, where they're killing each other in the streets. I said, yeah, but there's plenty males out there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. But see, once we start talking about man, those who are willing to play their part, all right, act in accord with their true and divine nature. Okay, when we start looking at that, now you can recognize the shortage.
That's right.
For numerous reasons. But I also wanted to point this reason out. Why? Because I was speaking with someone the other day who thought that it was inappropriate to touch on such an issue and because of the confusion it causes. And I said, listen, man, as soon as you start to become afraid to speak the truth, because you feel like there's a penalty for the truth, we lost another man.
That's right.
Man down.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
if the falsehood is allowed to parade itself and have a pride in itself, the truth is definitely allowed to come right behind and clean up the mess. And so one of the reasons why women will be chasing men down is because, for numerous reasons, including that reason there, there is a shortage. Islam.
Islam.
And so,
no, go ahead. Demonstrate your thought. I got something to say. I got something to say on it, but go ahead and demonstrate your thought.
You know, now you know that. I mean, listen, this right here is a rabbit hole. Okay.
Yes.
And the reason I'm bringing it up, because sometimes people will say, "Well, Dad, what is that? What does that have to do with prophecy?" Okay. Well, when we start talking about women chasing the man down, you know, we have to look at some of the reasoning behind such a thing, right? And that is because, I mean, and when you compare it to a hound chasing a rabbit, that's because there's a shortage, there's a lack of something. However, time never was when man was not, and I don't believe that the male species is about to fall off the planet. I don't hold that belief. So what I'm starting to believe is that there's a nature that has to be present, which is the reason why we call man in the first place. Or there's a nature that should be present, which is the reason why we refer to the male even as man. Okay. And when this nature is being challenged by the host himself, man down.
Islam.
You
know, when there's something else, you know, I got to go back to the Crips. So when I was in the Crips, you know, I started to notice a change in the people who were coming in, right? You know, I watched. I never thought that the day would come where, you know, you would see guys walking around in prison with skinny pants on, skinny clothes. You know, like, you know, it's a prison. You know, and you know the things that go on there. But then that started to happen. You know, and at first, you know, you get in your mind, you like, man, what's the effeminization of this generation is bad. But then being a sheik inside of that place, we are communicating with these young people, and you realize that, you know, a lot of them are men. Okay. I mean literally, they are men. It's just now, this is just the fashion of the time, you know. So you start to look again. What I then started to notice was how supernaturally irresponsible some of these individuals were. I mean, good God Almighty, they did not care about their duties at all, Mo. And this is what, and if you ask me, this is what I see now. And I heard, remember our very first podcast episode? I ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah.
Because how many times did we hear how hard it was for an Asiatic man out here? Don't nobody want to give you a job. Don't nobody want to give you an opportunity to rent a house or buy a house or blah, 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 blah. You know, all of the excuses, you know. And then we come right home and realize that life is only about as difficult as life is supposed to be. All right. But somewhere along the lines, these young guys have not been taught that they have to work for what they want, that they have to work for even what they need. Okay. So when the sisters are seeing men and they fall through in between who are real men, then yeah, there is a hunger, you know, and what that hunger has created is a level of competition that you don't see on no other playing field in the world. They not competing that hard on the football field. They not competing that hard on the basketball court. The way the women today or the females today compete for the few men that there are is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, as a man, I want to speak to my sisters. Okay. I want to tell y'all something.
right,
I want to tell y'all something.
now.
When you go fishing, be careful of the bait that you put on your hook. Okay? Because everything that's out there in that water does not favor the same type of bait.
Hold on, what you
so
mean?
Now, if you point your booty at me, if you walking around butt naked, and this is what I see, if I approach you, it's because that is what I want. I'm not coming for you. I'm not coming to get to know you. I'm probably not even thinking about getting to know you. I want what you have already given me a part of.
I'm accepting the advertisement.
So now, if that is your bait, then know what you're going to catch. And when you wake up in the morning and you looking for that guy and you can't find him, understand the bait. And then I speak to the men, because you have a lot of men who they want to go out and buy this brand new car that they can't afford. They want to buy all these expensive clothes that they can't afford. They want to dress themselves up and pretty themselves up as much as possible because it's bait. They trying to catch. Ain't that what they call it? They trying to catch. So now when she see your pretty car, your expensive car, and she approach you, and she start talking to you, she ain't trying to get to know you. She trying to find out if you're gonna buy her a pretty car. Then Isaiah prophesied this. Isaiah said that one day the women will be mincing in their steps with bells on their feet, scantily dressed. Okay? The scanty dress, the mincing, and the bells are to attract attention. All right? Simple as that. They are to attract attention. The prophet Noble Drew Ali, he told the Moors, he said, examine with care and fix not suddenly. And of everything that he said to look for in a woman, I want to share with y'all what I love the most. He said, look for an accomplished mind. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, look for an accomplished mind. Okay? Look for a woman who has created goals, aims, and objectives for herself. A woman who she brought kids into the world, and you know what she did? She was there 100% raising them babies. That's an accomplishment. She done protected them babies from all of the cares of the world. The consequences of what her not being there could have brought to them children. That's an accomplishment. Those things are the most beautiful qualities that a woman could have to a man. All right. Now, as a woman, I'm not a woman, and I remember when I was a very young person, and the girl who said this was about 4 years younger than me. But I was riding with one of my partners, and there was a guy out on the block, and you know the guy wasn't the most well-respected guy in the neighborhood. I'm just gonna say it like that. You know, a lot of us, we took him for weak or soft. That's what we thought about him. Okay. And my man said it. He said it out loud. He said, man, that dude pitiful, man. He weak. I don't know what no woman wanted him. And the girl who I'm talking about was his girlfriend. And she turned around and she said some of the wisest words that I have ever heard. She said, you are not a woman, and you could never know what a woman sees in a man. That's what she said. She said, you could never know what a woman sees in a man. With that being the case, women. The thing that you desire in a man is what you need to prepare yourself to go get. There are instructions in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America that will guide you straight to it. Okay? Please stop looking for a man with your behind. Okay? I mean, stop offering up, stop. How can I say it? Appealing to lust.
Islam.
Because what you get in return is not going to be what you're looking for. And I'm going to say this. The link is in the chat. Any woman who watching, if you disagree or agree and you want to share your thoughts, either put it in the comments, and I'll pull it up on the screen and we could talk about it like that, or if you want to say something, I'll click the link. It's right there.
Islam. Just to count right now, you just said something. I'm looking at the comments to see what's about to happen. That's one of those. And anybody that got something to say, I'm gonna be waiting outside. Right. The first thing is, I will say this. I'm gonna be waiting outside with you. Secondly, what I want to do is I want to make sure that some of our viewers and listeners that because some have joined maybe a little later than others, that they understand we're talking about unlocking the key to prophecy. And the reason why we're on the subject matter, in my opinion, all right, the reason why we're on the subject matter that we are at this present moment, such as what the master student brother Moorish Americans just finished speaking on, is because we're also, when you're dealing with prophecy, we're also kind of speaking on some of the pitfalls that are relevant to our people today. This is where we live. These are some of the things that hang us up: lust and things of that nature. Hatred, slander, lewdness. Lewdness is lust. All right, and undiscriminative lust. Like he was just speaking at. You are not being discriminative when your lust has you to introduce a man to your rear end before you introduce him to at least your first and last name. Okay, so what we're talking about here in this particular podcast of unlocking the key to prophecy, you being the prophecy, you are the will of Allah, and you're here active. That's your mission. That's how we consider you to be functioning, when you are active and acting in accord with the will of Allah. That's true beauty. All you got to do is be beautiful, people. Okay? And so what we're talking about now, as it pertains to prophecy and things of that nature, and being on the right side of it, meaning moving in accord with prophecy as opposed to being moved on by prophecy and then finding yourself crying about the pains and suffrages of a hellish situation that you have created for yourself. What we're talking about is some of the pitfalls, and lust and other forms of hatred and vanity and things of that nature are things that our people in these days and times, in these areas in which we live. All right, so we're speaking objectively here. This is what we're suffering. And just to camel back a little bit off of what the master student, Brother Moorish Penitent Bey, just spoke on, he spoke a little on the bait. And this goes both ways. He said he wanted to speak to the women and he wanted to speak to the men. So now I want to speak to you collectively. Okay. Although there's a chapter in the Holy Quran and the Moorish Temple of America speaking to young men, this applies to male and female. And what it says, though, is, beware, young man, beware of all the allurements of wantonness, and let not the harlot tempt thee to excess in her delights. Now, I just want to explain this briefly. All right. When we're talking about beware, we're talking about remain conscious. All right. So remain conscious of all the allurements of wantonness. Remain conscious of all the allurements of, meaning in connection with, wantonness. All right. And allurements, if you look closely, it's as simple and plain. You're going to see the word lure there. All right. And for all of you fishermen, right, just like the brother was just saying, be careful the type of bait you put on there, because certain types of bait attract certain types of beasts. All right. So we have to be very careful. All right. So beware of the allurements that are connected specifically to wantonness. What is wantonness? Wantonness is being in a state of undisciplined. So when you're in an undisciplined state, meaning you are no longer conscious of the higher and the lower self. So you're not even recognizing that maybe the lower self is doing the talking, right? The lower self has very little interest of who the individual truly is. It's just like, man, look at what she's showing me. It's just like, man, look at what he's driving or what he's showing me from a carnal standpoint. And so what we fail to do at this moment is devise a way potentially of either steering clear, or if we would still like to know someone, we fail to devise a plan to have a true meeting of the minds. And you have to be very careful with this. We have to be very careful with this, okay? Being baited to skip the meeting of the minds. This is where you get to ask questions, give comments, and show your concerns in certain things so that you can catch a glimpse of where someone might be on their evolutionary path. Because a lot of people don't notice, but we're not running through life to find boyfriends and girlfriends. We're trying to find our helpmate that will assist us in the work of life. All right, assist us in moving according to the prophecies of life, okay? And not just someone that can gratify our lustful nature. But here's the kicker. When you are engaging in other people, young lady and women, I'm speaking to you, men, I'm speaking to you. When you engage this other individual, what you have to understand is sex, all right? That carnal urge, that passion that's driving you, okay? Sex and things like that. Sex is literally the signature on a contract. Sex is the signature on the contract. And when we are seeking to get there fast, right, what we do is we bypass a meeting of the minds. So what does that mean? You are now signing a blank contract as man and as woman. All right, we ain't talking about little girl, little boy. We're not talking about child, but as a man and as a woman, you do not put your signature on blank contracts, especially when you're dealing with other human beings, because they have a higher self and a lower self. Anything can be lurking there in those tall grasses. Okay, sex is a signature on a contract. And if you don't have a meeting of the minds, right? Because some people say, well, look, man, well, I'm supposed to put them through an interview process. You damn right. How else will you get an interview? Okay, you're so focused on the outer, all right, not realizing that man is not the body nor the soul, that you've never caught a glimpse of where they are on their evolutionary path and who they truly are. You're not catching a glimpse of this. It's up to each individual to introduce the God in them. When I introduce my God, the God in me to you, it puts your mind under a certain type of influence. There's certain things you wouldn't dare say, you wouldn't dare do, because you don't want to offend, right? You don't want to offend the God aspect. But when that's pushed to the side, we start signing contracts that get us into a situation where we are not moving along or according to prophecy. Okay, so again, as the brother was speaking, you know, if the first thing I see is your rear end, you have to understand what draws you drives you. What draws you drives you. And too much of the same thing becomes superfluous, especially when we're dealing with finite things. So no wonder why your rear end sister drew him in. But after you was his pincushion enough, he started to feel like, well, variety is now in the place of pleasure. So no wonder why you're not getting the same attention and things of that nature. And men, you're not your pocket, so don't use your pocket to draw your woman.
Islam.
And then as soon as you get her, you get upset with her the third time she says, "Can I have?" Now all of a sudden you start playing Kanye West albums talking about I ain't saying she's a gold digger. I'm just saying. Well, what was the bait? Islam. And so again, so we have to recognize these character defects that have been causing us so many problems and things of that nature, because these are the things that have gotten us on the hook. Our chasing of materialism, our trying to please a false god called vanity, things of that nature, our unwillingness to investigate who we really are so that we might shine forth the creator within ourselves. You know, these things, this is prophecy, Islam. And with that, I have to yield the floor to
Islam.
magnificent
Islam.
A
man.
Griffin.
Hey, Griffin. How you doing, Moab? Yes.
Islam. Can I be heard clearly?
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Yes, sir.
Praise Allah for y'all, man. Y'all brothers. Y'all some exclusive special brothers, man. I look up to y'all, my big brothers, man. Every time y'all speak, praise Allah, y'all give me a lot of motivation and encouragement. You know?
Oh, praise be to Allah.
Islam. Oh, that's
All
humbling.
perfect praises.
Yes, sir.
It's my Father God, Allah. Islam. I give my highest honor to his noble, supreme wisdom, will, and love thought. Our angel, his ordained prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Islam. Y'all see y'all going over a lot of topics, but the main topic, the subject matter is prophecy.
That's right.
And while I was eating, before I go back, I just want to jump on and say something real fast. Real quick. To all the empresses, the princesses, the females, and the women listening to this. If you come outside half dressed or butt naked or acting a certain way, a so-called grown man just gonna want to have sex.
That's it.
Point blank period.
That's it.
You giving it, we'll take it.
Welcome to the show. Hey, look, that's why I was waiting. I'm waiting on it,
man. Yeah. You said something about being afraid earlier, say right here about men. Well,
you got to be careful here. Yeah.
If a man is afraid, he's not a man. You could be nervous. But what are you afraid about? You know, you're a man. You know, so if you're afraid, I mean, what your woman gonna be? I mean, you know, both y'all gonna be afraid? Had nothing to the tape. Back to prophecy. You just were talking about people scared to talk about their God because they'll have to defend it. Well, chapter 48, the end of time and fulfilling of the prophecies. So we got a God, we got a religion here, Islamism. You know, we're not scared to defend ours. You know, instruction number 8. While this is prophecy. The Moorish Americans are returning to Islam. We are returning this prophecy now, so which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. Now, if Allah sent us a prophet to return us back to our ancient forefathers and foremothers, divine and national creed and religion, this is prophecy. These are the words, especially in this chapter, the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecy. Not that he just made a prophecy, they're being fulfilled. It had the word fulfilling. I mean, they have been put into thought, action, words, and deeds. Islam. Now I want to go real quick back before I jump off and finish eating. Because I know y'all have skipped this already, but the prophet said, my word, every word I speak is spirit. And you more is better heed. Every word I speak is spirit, and you more is better heed. See, words are not just sounds we make. We're not just making noise here in the Moorish Science Temple of America just to hear ourselves talk. Because we're not in control of our ego. Because we have teachers to teach us about controlling our ego.
That's right.
But these spiritual words are forms of creative energy from our holy divine prophet. In the Bible, for instance, Islam, it is said that in the beginning was the word. In the beginning was the word. And the word was with God.
That's right.
And the word was God. John 1:1, right? So now we're talking about word, spirit, and taking heed. Prophecy. So this shows that the words the prophet spoke, or the words spoken in a spiritual form, are the foundation to creation.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Islam,
Islam.
the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, words are spirits because they carry spiritual power, intention, and the ability to manifest reality. Islam.
Islam.
We know what Drew Ali speaks of his words as spirit. He is referring to divine and the sacred nature of his divine instructions. He was ordained to come fulfill to the Asiatic nations.
That's right.
Words are spoken from a place of spiritual wisdom that carry the essence of the highest plane of life with this Father God Allah. That's where it's coming from. So how could they be anything other than spirit? They're coming from the spirit plane. And he is a prophet and a spirit and part of Allah, ordained to come tell us these words. So Islam, they have to be spirit. They are not just some poetic, philosophical, intellectual, or emotional expressions, but vessels of spiritual power that can affect your mind and your heart and even your soul. See, this aligns with the Moorish Science Temple's teachings that divine law and wisdom are transmitted through sacred words. And those words have the ability to uplift, transform, and guide your soul. Islam?
Islam.
Now, let's get into more metaphysical sense. Words is vibrations. We know in chapter 1, we talk about the vibrations in the ether, being a sluggish wheel, coming from the spirit plane to the soul plane, to the plane of things made manifest. When we speak, we release energy into the universe.
That's right.
Islam?
That's right.
Islam.
The vibration of these words has the power to uplift and inspire everybody, like y'all brothers do with me, or even heal people. Just by turning into the paradigm shifting podcast. It might change your life.
Islam.
If you listen and sit still and listen to the spirit, talk to your spirit. Islam is a simple faith. Islam. In this context, spirit, words can resonate with the divine energy, and they could be in harmony with those who hear or speak them with higher spiritual frequencies. For example, prayers, affirmations, sacred texts are often considered spirit-filled because they carry the vibration. Everything is a vibration. The vibration of truth, the vibration of love, the vibration of divine will. Islam? Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, now angel, warnings to take heed. These words implies that to the Moors, his followers, his master students should pay close attention to the divine teachings being delivered, for these are not ordinary words, but words that carry the essence of spirit, because he was ordained for my Father God Allah. So from my Father God Allah to him, to us, spirit to spirit to spirit. Spirit, the spirit man. Islam, because we know, Brother Shayriel was teaching on it today. Man is not the body nor the soul. He is spirit. All that other junk is falsehood. You are spirit. So spirit talks to spirit. Islam. If they heed the word, they align themselves with divine purpose. Because now you align with Allah's time, with divine time. Now you know what time it is. Wisdom, guidance that are encoded into the divine instructions of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam.
Islam.
Praise my Father God Allah. Thank you, brother, for allowing me to speak. That's all I had to say. I want to get back to finishing my food. I just had to hop up here right fast to say that.
Man, come in.
Thank you for that message, man.
Come in, kick a hole in the speaker. Holding the speaker.
Go ahead, Mo.
all praise be to Allah for the gifts of understanding, and praise Allah and honors to the man when man develops his understanding to give to other men. So high honors to you, brother chairman, A. Griffin L, for sharing your portion. You know, hey, I was in the classroom, Mo.
Man, Islam.
In the classroom.
Hey, listen, I want to just not to step away from the subject, though. I want to demonstrate a message. I remember coming to Sunday school, and there was only one person there, A. Griffin Hill, and man, we started studying. And then, you know, I started teaching a Quran class every Wednesday, you know, with my cell phone from prison. And it started off, it would be me, A. Griffin Hill, Ricardo Bay, and Kachita Hill. And the next thing we knew, couple Wednesdays into it, and let me tell you something. We never got off of chapter 1. We was on chapter 1 the whole time. But it got to the point, man, we was coming to those classes and there would be so many people. Like I said, because we would just go so deep into the lessons. That's one thing about the Moab. He gonna dig deep into the prophet's instructions, you know. So honest to one of the Moorish master students, Islam. And talking about prophecy.
If I could more, I wanted to briefly. I done touched one of these buttons. If I could, I wanted to briefly say something. First of all, honest to the sister, Kay Bay. She had put a comment out. You know, a woman wants a man who is okay. No, it was another one as well. Some women will take a half of a man than have no man at all, and or feel it's a shortage of good men. And you know, I want to say this, right? First and foremost, you know, even the wise man knows that, you know, we you know, the more you know, the more you know you don't know. A lot of times, you know, our job isn't to totally comprehend every single thing at this time. Our job is to be what we do know, and our job is to maintain the law of study and put ourselves in a position, put ourselves in a mental context wherein we can unfold and be of use to the will of the great God Allah. And that usefulness is our good, and good is our power. Islam. We don't meet each other. And I'm speaking to the men and the women, you know, because again, you know, we start talking about prophecy, but we meander because it's not just, you know, there's a lot of different leaves in this tree. Okay. And so I want to say this, we don't meet each other already perfected. This is a journey, and your life will be spent. Okay. The currency that we call life is spent paying for, you know, different aspects of this journey. And, you know, I want to make sure that it's not like we should turn and run away from a sister who thinks that she should accentuate her rear end. We don't, sisters, you don't have to turn necessarily and run away, so to speak, from the brother who at that level of consciousness at that time believes that his vehicle, his jewelry, his jeans, or his whatever, his any other carnal thing that turns to dust defines him. It's not necessarily meant that we should turn and run away or forsake these sisters or fail to assist these brothers. That's not the thing. It's a matter of the Prophet Noble Jew Ali didn't say, run, young man, run from the allurements. What he said is beware. He said, be conscious that these things are bait, meaning these things tug at the lower nature. Be conscious of that. Because when we team up with our other half, you know, when we talking about the men and the women, one without the other is but half. And when we team up in the spirit of tolerance, not tolerance of corruption, because when we're talking about the sisters with their behinds out, and we talking about the brothers that think that their material things, money makes the man, we're not necessarily talking about evil men and women.
That's Islam.
maybe a lack of understanding. So a recognition of these character traits or these slight, and I'll use these character defects and things, that these misunderstandings. Recognition of these misunderstandings is not a sign or symbol or a green light that says speed off. Okay, but it says beware. You know what I mean? Remain disciplined, because when we come and we meet up with one another at our levels of understanding, we offer to one another food for thought. And before you know it, we start to exercise our influence over one another. And if the concern is righteousness, meaning if the concern is to do what is right, if the concern is to have a better understanding of what is right, if the concern is to understand the ordinance and what has been ordained by our Father God Allah, aka prophecy, okay, ultimately, if the concern is how do I do what it takes to be considered functioning, functionable and functioning in accord with the will of Allah, which translates as being a beautiful creation. All right. If this is the concern, if this becomes the concern, you can assist one another in breaking the chains that bind you to not only the lower self, but to moving according to the influences of the lower self. Because even prophets have found themselves by many chains bound down to the carnal nature.
That's right.
But they refused to move according to it. Okay, so let's make sure we understand that the men of our nation and the women of our nation, we all have, things that we need to work on. We all have, we all are showing character at certain times that could stand a little tune up. But the thing is, we're speaking to those who fall prey to the character defects, who are not conscious of these things. And then these character defects serve as pitfalls that get in the way of your mission of being a missionary, of being a torchbearer and things of that nature, of being a part of the prophecy, okay, of being a part of the solution. When the prophet is said to have given prophecies and it seems like there was some doom within it or something, he's not telling you something because he wanted you to be afraid necessarily, but that you might consider, how can I be a solution? You see what I mean? How can I be of assistance? How can I show that I am a friend of humanity? And so I just want to make sure that it's understood that indeed we will run into people that have certain types of beliefs where we that we don't share. This is called separating in the world. But one of the things we have to do is remember the relation that binds us to love and unity. Okay, and when we do that, when that even becomes a concern, why not concern yourself with being in the right? Why not? That's not a sucker trait. That's not a soft trait. That's not a weak trait.
Islam.
Okay? Right. It's called discipline. Discipline takes more strength than to be undisciplined. Mm-hmm. Not to show hatred for your brother when he has shown you disrespect takes more strength than to just pop off and get radical. Despite popular belief. So let's make sure we understand this, that when we're talking about unlocking the key to prophecy, it has a lot to do with recognizing the pitfalls that get in the way of us bringing forth prophecy, and recognizing the things that plague our people. Ultimately, we refer to it in our nation as the Negro problem. Because if man knew that he and Allah were one, if he truly knew it, not if somebody shared the idea with him and he or she just parakeets that upon questioning, but truly knows it within your soul. Okay, if we knew this, we would do this. Okay, Islam.
You just spoke about that chapter 20. Beware, young man. Beware. He say the allurements of wantonness, and let Islam. Not the harlot tempt thee to do what? Excess in her excess. Okay,
that's right.
Because he didn't say, let not the harlot tempt thee to, be attracted to her. He said to excess in her delights. It's important for us to note that when the Prophet Noble Ali uses that, when the author used that term harlot, that it was not just talking about, a woman, it's talking about the world in general.
Islam.
We have a tool in the workshop of the mind that helps us keep things within the bounds of righteousness. Because when our passions and our desires stray outside of the bounds of righteousness, we get in trouble. We get in big trouble, Mo. We get in big trouble, and I can speak from experience. I can speak from experience and say that, as a young man, as a younger man, when I was young, I'm gonna tell y'all some things about me. I am extremely naive, and I am extremely one-track minded. Okay, these are two things that I know about myself. And being naive, I don't want to change. And you'll say, well, why would you want to be naive? Like, don't you, people take advantage of people when they're naive. And I say, well, I'm protected. And with that being the case, I don't want to ever stop believing in people. Now, with that being the case, when I was a youngster growing up, being one-track minded, always being on whatever it was that I was on, being focused on my goal or my objective at the time, whatever it was, I would not notice a lot of times if a girl was trying to get my attention or something like that. I wouldn't notice. The only way that I would notice is if I seen something in that female that was in relation to what I was on. I had to see something that was naturally attractive to me. Okay. And if I didn't stop and just look at a woman and be like, man, she bad or she pretty. If I just was, just focused on going this way, when I was selling dope, I'm focusing on getting money. When I was going to school, I'm focusing on keeping my grades up. Whatever it was, I was focused on. I'm going to tell, and I'm going to say it again, because the social media, the things you see when you scroll down some of these timelines, sisters, please stop it. All right. I mean, now unless
let me ask you
that's the type of attention you want.
You know what I would like more, to be totally honest with you, because ain't nothing new under the sun. You know what I mean? This is what I would like to know though, and brothers too, right? I would love this when you post whatever it is that you post. State your intentions.
Yeah. Yes.
This way you don't have to feel like anybody's assuming, right? Because I mean, I'll keep it simple and plain. There is state your intentions. I'm putting this on here, and if it's just to, are you putting something on there to say I'm beautiful? Are you saying look at this? Like what? State your intentions. Give me your best reasoning for your behavior. This isn't so that I can decide if something's good, bad, right, wrong, but help me understand where you're coming from, right? When you do what you do. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's all this and you know what that does, Penny Debate, is when you force somebody to be prepared to state their intention, because they used to do that. They used to say, state your intentions, friend or foe. Are you a friend of Allah or a foe of Allah? Because if you're a friend of my lower self, you're a foe to Allah. So friend or foe, you know what I mean? Since I and Allah are one, are you a friend or a foe? Are you trying to bait me to bring out my God qualities, or you want something a little bit lower in vibration? Like, what are you trying to do? Brothers, when you jump on there and you flash all that, presumably money, because I don't even know. I looked on Amazon. And they're selling props now. You know that. Now we can buy a whole bunch of fake money and so okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? If you've got money, if you've got the money to buy fake money, you got more money than me, brother. Okay, so you're doing your thing. But my thing is, I saw a brother on one of the feeds. And if that brother is watching, or anybody knows who this brother is, and they happen to say, "Hey man, the brother was talking about you, brother," I mean you, no disrespect. Right. I just really want to try to understand this. Okay, I saw a brother on the feed the other day, and he had on 2 different vests. I'm talking about these vests look like they was heavy, Mo. He was leaning back in the recliner, and I couldn't help but to say to myself, that's probably the weight of the vest. Because he knocked them on me. And I mean, if you whatever you shoot, it ain't getting through that. But this is what's crazy. He had on 2 vests, barefaced it, with a firearm. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep this as proper. With a firearm sitting next to him in the recliner, and I'm talking about this firearm. Look, I don't want no work. Okay,
yeah,
got that. With a firearm sitting next to him and wads of money sitting on his lap, and he was saying something to the effect of, "Yeah, you niggas, you know what I'm saying, and you niggas." And I don't know. That's all I get. And this is my rendition of the brother. And then he said something like this. You know what I'm saying? So y'all gonna have to aim for the head. And he didn't have a helmet on or nothing, right? But my point is this: state your intent. What are you doing? What is your what next? Right? Where is the saving power? Where is the saving power? That's what we got to understand something. Your life force is not your own. Force is the will of Allah. So the life force that you're spending on each and every one of your single solitary movements, that's not your money. That's not your currency. You're spending your life doing what you're doing in each moment. This is why the prophet warned us. In every moment we can make or mar our fortune. Right. And what we know from a carnal standpoint as being the most valuable at this moment is connected to that life force. What is most valuable is connected to the life force that we have, and we spend that. So in each moment where my mind is focused on the folly and the foolishness, it cannot simultaneously be focused on, the divine and the truth and things of that nature. It cannot. The mind, the heart of man cannot at one time be dedicated to too many things. If you fix your soul on show, you lose reality. Islam, and so I have to ask. It would be great. That should be the new trend. Let's see if we can start that trend. Do what you're doing, but please just be prepared. It's kind of like they put hashtags. Just state your intention with the thing that you just posted, so that no one will say anything that you didn't intend. We'll just know that you think that's how you accomplish your mission. What's your intention? Islam. And are you to the sister? Honors to the sister for joining the show, K Bay. Every time I've spoken to this sister, she's always told me, look, when the Moorish American needs to get it done, I get it done. So for the real, honors to the sister for all your hard work. Are you?
Islam, thank you. I'm just on the podcast as usual, taking notes. And, when you start talking about the sisters, I felt like I had to jump on and give my portion. I ain't seen nobody else get on. So I'm going to speak on it from both sides of the spectrum. Me and my lower self before I knew the prophet and was introduced to Moorish Temple of America. A lot of sisters are out here lost and don't even know they lost. In this new time, everybody want to be the Cardi B's, the Meg Stallions, and all these other people. They want to claim to be the bad bees and all this, but they don't understand. You like the Grand Sheik said, you getting what you asking for when you entertaining that school of thought. Me coming up, little skirts, high heels, you think that is attractive. You think that is getting a man's attention. And then when they use you and discard you sitting there wondering why, you wondering like what you do wrong. So now you even more desperate to fit in. And when a person see you in desperation, they gonna utilize that. They gonna make you humiliate yourself, and they gonna humiliate you. And you thinking it's for love, you're gonna keep doing it. So that's why it's important for these sisters to know who they are, know they self. And me in a conscious state, I try to reach out to all the sisters to show them modesty and meekness is the best thing for you. I take it to the lessons So I wanted to take it to the Moorish Temple of America Quran, marriage instructions for men and wife from the noble prophet. You know, just to give these a notion of, if you look for a man instead of a boy, how to portray yourself,
right.
how to redevelop yourself. And I'm just it's I'm gonna just start in the middle at verse number 4. Who is she that winneth the heart of men, that subdueth him to love, that reigns in his breast? Lo, wonder she walketh in maiden sweetness, with innocence in her mind and modesty on her cheek. Her hand seeketh employment, her foot delighteth not in gadding abroad. She is clothed with neatness, she is fed with temperance. Humility and meekness are as a crown of glory circling her head. On her tongue dwelleth music, the sweetness of honey floweth from her lips. Decency is in all her words, and her answers are soundness and truth. Submission and obedience are the lesson, and peace and happiness is her reward. Before her steps walketh prudence and virtue, attended at her right hand. So it's stuff like that that women don't even know. Um, like our turban. Our turban is our crown and protection. Our salvation pin. It's our crown and our protection. It's helping us keep the negative out. It's cultivating your mind. And sometimes you want that peace and you want that happiness. You're not gonna get it in some of the actions you out here doing. So
That's right.
when men see a meek, modest woman, a quiet, woman, that makes them look at them different. Nobody like a loud mouth, half naked, unintelligent female that has nothing to bring to the table but problems, drama, and extra bills. To be a liability is not to be wanted at all. It's always best to be an asset, to come with something, and not saying monetary value. Come with some education. Come with the notion that, I know how to nurture my children. I know how to nurture children. I know how to take care of a household. Not, I'm keep going to the restaurants to buy food. No, cook. Health is wealth. And it's just some of those things that
That's right.
today's sisters, they don't understand it, or they don't get it, because they living in a superficial world. They living in this social media, trying to keep up with the Joneses, when they know, that causes misery. So thank God for the prophet, and how he set the women in a Moorish temple to be meek, modest, and obedient. And I yield.
Islam. I
Islam.
want to speak to that, right? Islam, praise Allah, honest to you for that measure, right? Because there's a prophecy concerning that. All right. It says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And what you just spoke to is a lack of knowledge of those things that are good and healthy. A nation, just like an empire, is composed of a group of nations. A nation is composed of a group of families. All right. So these families, however strong and however tightly knit and well ran these households, these families are, that increases the quality and the strength of the nation as a whole. Okay. The health of our people right now, the mental health and the physical health of our people right now, has probably never been this bad in the history of the planet, because we don't know what to eat, we don't know how to eat, and you brought up, running to the restaurant. People who sell you food, only thing they are concerned with is getting you to come back and buy some more. They're not concerned with, how this food will actually impact your health. But when you go into the kitchen and you prepare the food with that in mind, you're going to make the food to taste good, while at the same time, if you're a good, a good Moorish American Muslim, at the same time, it'll be healthy and good for you. You know, so it's
Practice
these things right here, man, is important. Islam.
Islam. No, you go ahead, sister. Please.
Another thing I wanted to speak on about real men, you know, we got to understand too, a lot of women don't have an example of what a real man looks like, what a real man does, because we got to think the mothers, the elder mothers now, so the mothers from my generation, they saw the crack era, the dope era, no fathers in the home, so they have no example of what a good man looked like. To me, a good man looked like my 8th grade teacher, who was persistent on telling me the light he saw in me and greatness he saw in me and pushed me to do better, do better, do better. That was a good man to me. I couldn't look at my fathers, my uncles, or none of those type of people to say, oh, this is a good man. No brother, no nothing, cousins, because what I see as a man is womanizing. You beating on your woman, you cheating on your woman, you having multiple kids by your woman. So that automatically makes a woman insecure because they don't know what to even look for, and they don't even have the tools to even decipher how to fix yourself first before you go looking for something you don't even know what you're looking for. So a lot of women always use the phrase, I'd rather have a half man than no man at all. That's meaning you don't have enough confidence in yourself to sit and work on yourself and wait for Allah to bring you the man that you deserve, that will give you your happiness. You out somewhere, you know, doing whatever, accepting whatever, getting beat on, multiple kids in the relationship, because you rather just be able to say, I have a man, or he's here, or he come home every night. But how he's treating you, how do your soul feel? How do your mind feel? Are you able to sleep at night, you know, without silent tears? So that's other things women got to look at, and they have to be real with themselves, because a lot of them are delusional. You take whatever is handed to you just to be able to have something in your hand. But if you leave your hand empty and you use those hands and stretch them out to God, he will fill them with what you need. And that's something we don't, as women, look at as well.
Islam. And just to camera back on that, you know, and men, so-called men, you know, you get to taking advantage of these situations in a childish state of mind where you're not certain of how to uplift your woman. So before you know it, you're downtrodden your woman, because a woman isn't making an error in confiding and handing trust to her helpmate.
Say that.
She's being betrayed.
That's right.
Even if she doesn't have it all, who has it all figured out? So when a woman or a man, either or, I'm speaking to both simultaneously, but you know, the sister K Bay is already, you know, pointing out some of the characteristics of some of the young ladies. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump on in and speak about the characteristics of the man. You know, the sisters that are being abused by these men. But the thing is, you know, you have a lot of these sisters that open themselves up to that because they are naturally trusting and confiding in the one that is supposed to, as it said in the Holy Quran, keep the woman. And by that, I don't mean in some lesser position. What I mean is protect, serve, honor, things of that nature. In order to receive true protection, in order to receive service, in order to receive certain honors, you have to actually open yourself up for these fair impressions. And in doing so, you create a gap. And a gap is an assailable position. But what woman should believe that when she opens up that door, an assailant who's supposed to be her man is going to walk through it? And you know, and just so that we can make sure that it's understood how these things are relevant to unlocking the key to prophecy. The prophet noble Drew Ali, all right, divinely guided by the Father of the universe, we have him as the great God, Allah. He says in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America, okay, because, you know, the prophecy is a complete and sound family unit. Okay, it is in a complete and sound family unit. Why do I say this? Because the prophet says, and in my Quran, okay, on page 3, just in part, it says, Islam, by these lessons you can set your house in order.
Wow.
Right? What the sister, you know, and your house is even your mindset, and outside of that mindset, literally your home, and so forth and so on. Right? And as the sister is speaking, we're talking about a dysfunctional unit. We're talking about something that's supposed to be a unit, has the UNI in there, the unit, the one. However, behaving as adversaries and displaying what we call the Ethiopian degree or the division. Listen carefully. Listen carefully for everybody that's listening here. Let's make sure, because sometimes we don't understand, we don't comprehend the inner life too well. So let's make sure we understand something about the inner life, about this division, especially between that which is ordained to be one, like a man and a woman, okay? In your physical body, you have trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of cells. Each one of those cells is embedded with an intelligence where it knows its mission, and it understands, it can recognize the other thing, the other cells like itself around it, right? And so it performs in a complete harmony with all of those other cells in the one body. When there is a disruption, a disharmony between the cells, one of the first things that happens is it fails to recognize its mission, its functioning. So what the cell is naturally programmed to do, it's called apoptosis. What it naturally does is it will separate itself, all right, from the bunch. This separation causes a pain signal in the physical body naturally. This pain signal, well, what most of us do with this pain signal, because we've been trained to run to somebody outside of ourselves, is we run down to the doctor. We say we have this pain. They cut into you, take out something from that area. I don't know if it's called a, I forget what the name of that is when they scrape a piece of a tissue. Or things that, say again?
A biopsy.
Islam. All praise be to Allah. And so they pull that out and they look at it under the microscope. And when they see that separation, what they call that separation, and investigate this, what that separation is being called, it has been labeled cancer. See, when you lose sight of how you are supposed to be unified and how you are supposed to behave in a harmonious way for the harmonious running of the whole and things of that nature, it naturally is known as cancer. Right? Some of us have it as a separation between living things because the law says that all living things are bound by cords. They are actually one. So, like so, when the women are behaving in a certain manner, opening themselves up to these boys, all right, dressed in men's-sized clothing, okay, and these things are happening, cancer is what's taking place. There's separatism being enacted in that where there should be a union, okay? And so I just want to make sure it's understood that, you know, as this pertains to the prophecies, these lessons in the Moorish Science Temple of America, it is by handling these lessons in the workshop of the mind that you start to learn your role as man and your role as woman, not the finite role, not the roles that have been handed out and have offended our men and women plenty by telling them some sort of finite position. But these are roles in accord with your true and divine nature. These are roles that when we play them, we find that we are equal as opposed to big I, little you, and things of that nature. These are roles that will make it so that when I'm starting to fall behind, my helpmate can actually assist me in getting up. Right? These are roles where when my sister is falling behind, my first inclination will not be to forsake her in some shape, form, or fashion. You see what I mean? And so these types of things, when we're talking about the Holy Quran and Moorish Science Temple of America, handling these types of instructions help us to actually fulfill a prophecy of creating a complete and sound unit amongst the men and women. As a, you know, what species on Earth survives when the male and female species are in competition with each other?
Mm.
You are supposed to be cooperative, not competitive.
You
Why?
know something that you saying, Mo? It's not even just that when the male and the female are in competition with each other, but when the citizens of the nation or the members of the organization are in competition with one another. You know,
Islam.
that's that because now there's no unified working towards the unified goal. You know what I mean?
Why?
The Prophet Noble Ali made it law. Listen to what he said. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. That family that lives according to that law cannot go wrong.
Islam.
They cannot go wrong. Now, I want to show y'all something because we talking about prophecy. Prophecy takes on many forms. Allah speaks to man through man in a still small voice. Okay, so someone authored the Bible. Adam, right there in the beginning, Allah gets Adam, places Adam in paradise. He searches for a helpmate for Adam. He creates all these animals and stuff, try to just get Adam some company. Okay, it don't work. So Allah puts Adam to sleep. He lays Adam down, he puts him to sleep, and I like to say that he took out of Adam his sweetest dream. He said, because I want to make a helpmate for you, and all the helpmates that I have, the potential helpmates that I have given you thus far, they are not working. So I'm going to go inside of you while you are sleeping, while you are dreaming, and I'm going to take out your sweetest dream, and I'm going to give you that. Okay? The Bible says he took out his rib, and he made him a woman. He told Adam, of all the trees in the garden you can eat, except for this one, the knowledge of good and evil, do not eat from this tree. Okay? It was then communicated to the woman by the husband, ain't that right? He communicated to his wife. All the instructions that came from Allah, he communicated to his wife. His wife is traveling in the garden freely as she is free to do. She traveling in the garden. She comes across a serpent. Okay? So now the serpent slithers up to her and the serpent tells her, hey, have you tried this tree? And she says, my husband said that Allah said that we're not supposed to eat from that tree. Say that in the day that we eat from that tree that we will die. The serpent said, oh man, no, man. See, your husband been bamboozled. Allah of them tricked him. Okay, and now he trying to trick you. I'm telling you, Allah don't want y'all to eat this because Allah knows that in the day that you eat from this tree, you will be like Allah. And then it's communicated to us in the book that she ate from the tree. She ate from the tree. She didn't hide the fact that she ate from the tree. She ate from the tree and she ran right back to her husband and told him, hey, listen, I just tried this fruit. Check it out. And what did Adam do? Did Adam respond according to the law that the Prophet Noble Ali gave us? Husband, you must support your wife and children. Did he do that? No. He ate from the doggone tree with her. And when Allah came, now he all ashamed. You know, he naked. He all ashamed. He all mad. He all upset. Listen. Support your wife and children. Me, if a joker would have did that to mine, I'm gonna be like, hold up, baby. Where he at? Okay. We now we gonna have a conversation afterwards. But right now, my present concern is where is Buddy? Where is the one who has convinced you to do a couple of things? Number one being to go against what I have already told you is God's commandment for us. All right. Number two, this joker just sold you something that already belonged to you. Okay. He done told you that if you eat from, in the day that you eat from this tree, you will be like God. But you was made in the image and after the likeness of God. You already like God. All right. So now it leads me to wonder. Prior to Eve even encountering this serpent, did Adam actually demonstrate to her the presence of God that was in him? Did he make her know that she was like God by showing that he was like God, and therefore she wouldn't have failed for it? The prophet Noble Ali told us that if our woman is not a member of the Moorish Americans, what did he say? Give her 2 apples. Now the Moors be like, well, what does that mean? You can tell a tree by the fruit it bears. So you need to make sure that without a doubt or a contradiction, when she sees you, she know that the Moorish Science Temple of America is good because you great. You understand me? Now this is prophecy. Anybody who read this, if you didn't see it that way, I advise you to go back and read the book of Genesis, those instructions right there, and see where the error was made by the first family. Okay. I also want to advise y'all to do a couple of things. I want to advise you to push the like button. If you ain't pushed the like button yet, if you on Facebook, I don't want no like. Give me a heart. You know, they say hearts are better than likes on Facebook. So give me a heart. If you on YouTube, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and share it. All right. Let's get this information out, y'all. Now, with that being the case, you know, it was an honor, like it always is, to be on the platform, you know what I mean, communicating, you know, our portions, our measures of understanding these lessons that came, you know, from a divinely prepared prophet Noble Jew Ali. We are members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Moorish Science, Islam is our foundation, but the message is universal. You know what I mean? We do not claim to have a monopoly on truth. We do not claim to own God. All right. Allah is the father of the universe. We are all his children. We are just trying to do our part as faithful members of this one divine family called the Asiatic race, Islam. With that being the case, y'all know what it is. It's time to slide. It was a pleasure. You know what I mean? Honor to the brother Shay Ray Ill, honor to the sister K Bay, honor to the chairwoman K Bay Islam, honor to the chairman A Griffin Ill. You know, honor to the Moors for coming. You know, let me check the chat real quick. Islam, brother Trevor Lee Harden, Islam, brother Evans Ill, Elwood Evans Ill, always coming through with the Moors. You know what I mean? Supporting. Honors to Shaquille Sheikh. Honors to Thomas Williams. Okay, I'm all right. You know what? I'm tired of sliding through this chat, y'all. This ain't my thing to be doing that demonstration like that, you know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm about to get ready to hit the overlay button. This is about to come on, and the music is about to play, and we about to be out, y'all.